My daughter's letter told me to stay away, but the handwriting wasn't hers. It was my son-in-law's. I knew at the moment I saw the way the T's were crossed. Too high. Too hard. Mira always crossed her T's low, like she was gently laying a shawl over a chair. Rohan slashed his, like cutting a rope. The envelope came on a Wednesday when the fan sounded angry and the tea tasted like old questions. The postman smiled and said, "Good news, madam?" I smiled back like I had teeth left for that. My hands shook as I opened it, and the words cut me clean. Ma, don't call again. Don't come to our building. I have moved on. I forgive you. Please stop, forgive me. As if love needed forgiveness. As if the way I stood under their window at dusk with a box of her favorite ladoos was a sin. As if the 3 years of silence were my fault because I refused to pretend the bruise on her wrist the last time I saw her was a trick of the light. I read it twice. Then I pressed the paper to my face, hoping for her smell, the coconut oil she used, the floral body spray that once clung to my dupatta for a whole day. The letter smelled like new pen and someone else's hand. I sat at my small table and thought of lemon juice and secrets. When Mira was 10, she once wrote me a birthday message with lemon juice, invisible until I held it above the stove. "Look closer," she whispered, eyes sparkling. The words blossomed like magic. That's when I learned that some messages are written from others in ways only we can see. I turned the letter over. At first it was blank. Then something like a feeling tugged at my fingers. I fetched a soft pencil and rubbed the edge gently across the back, the way Mira used to for her school tricks. Gray dust settled. Lines rose like tired fish. Press marks. Indentations of a hand that had written something on the page above this one before someone traced over the front with lies. I held my breath and shaded, careful, steady. For words emerged first: do not call, smile. Then a line like a heartbeat. Then more. By the time I finished, I had a map. Ma. They check everything. Do not call me. Do not text. Meet Friday. 11 a.m. Old bus stop near Krishna Dairy. Wear the blue dupatta. I will pass you a sugar packet. Smile like you believe the letter. I kept the pencil in my fist like a weapon and laughed, a short, ugly sound. Not because anything was funny. Because I suddenly had air again. 2 days crawled past like lizards on hot walls. I didn't sleep. I cooked rice and forgot salt. I walked to the window and counted scooters, imagined which one might carry a man who watched my building. Twice I picked up the phone to call Mira anyway. Twice I put it down so hard the table jumped. If she said do not call, I would not call. She knew the rules of her cage better than me, but I did not sit and wait only. I walked 2 lanes to the women's desk at the station. The woman behind the desk had tired eyes and a strong jaw. Inspector Anika Sharma. She didn't say, "Family matter," or "adjust." She poured me water. She read the letter. She shaded the back again without being told to, and when the ghost words rose, she looked at me with something like respect. "Clever girl," she said softly. "She is trying." "She is my daughter," I said. That was all I needed to say. "We will go with you on Friday," she said. "We will not crowd. We will be close. If it is a trap, we will see it before it closes. If it is a call for help, we will answer." Friday morning I wore my old blue dupatta, the one with a small snag near the edge where it once caught on a nail, and I stitched it with my own hair. I tucked the letter into my blouse. My hands wanted to shake, but I told them there would be time for that later. The old bus stop near Krishna Dairy is nothing, just a rusting sign and a bench that wobbles. I stood there and looked like a woman who received a letter that hurt but decided to be dignified. I practiced my smile. At 11:05, a woman in a yellow kurta brushed my elbow. "Auntie, bus to Sector 8? She asked, voice flat. I didn't look at her face. I looked at the street. I saw him before I smelled the cologne. Rohan. Across the road, pretending to check his phone, sunglasses on like a film hero in a bad film. Beside him, his mother Savita, sorry stiff, mouth thin. They weren't close enough to hear whispers, but close enough to measure my posture. "Smile," the yellow kurta said. "Now." I smiled like I had learned something late. My chest hurt. "Take sugar?" she said, and held out a small brown paper packet, the kind shopkeepers roll fast when they have no time. I took it. Our fingers touched. "Cold." Slight tremble. "Weather is hot," I said like it mattered. "Very," she said. Then, under her breath, so fast it didn't register like words, 2 days. Notary office. Gift deed. Your house. He will make you sign. Please. Help. My throat closed. I nodded like I was thinking of the price of sugar. She stepped away. I kept smiling. Behind her, Rohan lifted his phone and pretended to click a photo of a cow. He was clicking us. Let him back home. I emptied the packet. A folded paper. A small photograph. A used clinic slip with a scrawl dot on the paper, all small letters, crammed. They read my chats. They count my calls. He took my bank card. He hit me when I asked to call you. He says your house must be in his name so we can manage. Friday notary. Please bring someone. If I run, they will take my son. He is 6 months. His name is Kabir. I am sorry I didn't come. I am not allowed to go out alone except to the clinic. The nurse is kind. She gave me paper. The photograph was of a baby with hair like black silk. His mouth was a little low. There was a tiny scar on his eyebrow that looked like a new moon. My hand went to my mouth by itself. I made a sound I didn't know I could make. I kissed the photo and tasted dust. The clinic slip was a discharge instruction for Kabir's vaccinations with a half-stamped seal. In the corner, someone had scribbled Rohan's name as father. My skin crawled. I took the packet to Inspector Anika. She didn't waste time. Here is what we do, she said. You keep the notary appointment. You do not sign anything. You ask to see your daughter before any signature. You say you are old and need to ask questions slowly. Meanwhile, we will be close. We will record. If he threatens or coerces, we act. I will also alert child welfare. If there is a child, his safety is also our job. What if he doesn't bring her? I asked. The thought made my teeth hurt. Then it is even more obvious, she said. Also, give me the clinic slip. We can verify. The nurse who gave her that might be willing to testify. I walked out of the station feeling taller and also made of glass. That night I went to their building. I shouldn't have. Anika had said, don't invite risk. But a mother's feet do not always listen. I stood on the opposite pavement and looked up. Their flat was on the 3rd floor. A light was on. A shadow passed the window, the shape of a woman carrying something small. A cry flowed out, thin and tired and alive. Savita's voice came sharp, even through the glass. Lower him. Don't spoil him. I stood till my legs ached. The watchman eyed me like a stray. I walked home very slowly, counting breaths. 4 in, 4 out. I didn't sleep. I held the baby's photo and talked to him like he could hear through paper. Kabir, I am coming, I whispered. I am old, but my legs will reach you. Friday, I wore a plain sari and old slippers. I wanted to look harmless. I carried a file that held nothing but blank paper. My palms were damp. The notary's office was on the 2nd floor of a building that smelled like dust and photocopy ink. Men moved in and out like ants carrying lies. Rohan stood, all politeness. Savita smiled with 9 teeth and no warmth. The notary was a little man behind a big desk, stamp pad ready like a weapon. Neelaji, Savita sang. Finally. We just finish formalities and then peace, no? Rohan is like a son to you. Paper in his name only makes life smooth. Where is Mira? I asked. My voice sounded steady to my own ear. Surprise, she is feeding the baby, Rohan said, then laughed at my face. She is at home. You sign first. She will come later. She told me to tell you she forgives you. I placed the file on the desk. Inside my bag, a small recorder blinked a red dot you could not see unless you were a machine. Anika was in the hallway pretending to argue with a peon over stamped paper. 2 constables were downstairs eating samosas and watching the stairs. I want to see my daughter, I said. I want to ask her if this is what she wants. Auntie, don't be dramatic, Rohan said softly. You will make trouble. You are alone. We are trying to help. After you sign, she will call you daily, I promise. This is the only way. Write your name here, and here, and here. He pushed the papers toward me. Gift deed. Voluntary transfer. Pretty words hiding theft. The notary's pen clicked. He pushed a stamp pad forward. His hand trembled slightly. He had done this dance before, I could tell. Who wrote the letter? I asked, what letter? Rohan played dumb badly, the one that said I was forgiven. He smiled, sharp. Men like to flash their teeth right before biting. Asha, I mean Mira, wrote it. Say it again, I said softly. Mira wrote it. He leaned forward like he was teaching me. She did. She did. You are imagining. Good. Anika's voice came from the doorway, firm as a hand on your back when you might stumble. Thank you, sir. We have that. She stepped in with 2 officers. Calm, not loud. That is how to enter a room where a woman has been taught to whisper. Rohan laughed. This is a family matter, he announced. Police cannot. It became a police matter when you threatened her just now, Anika said. It became one when you forged her daughter's hand and tried to steal property. It became one when you cut a woman off from her mother and told her who she can love. Savita stood up so suddenly her chair scraped. How dare you? We are respectable people. She is dramatic. She wants attention. My son is a gem. Your son is going to answer some questions, Anika said, and in her voice was a steel that made me want to weep from relief. Where is Mira? At home, Savita snapped. Where she should be? With the baby. Anika looked at me. We are going, she said. Now. If you think my heart pounded before, you should have heard it then. We walked out, me between 2 officers like a strange queen and her guards. Outside, the sun had turned the world into a metal dish. I could smell fear and exhaust. They tried to stall us. Rohan called someone and said uncle and sir in favor and sorry. No one material enough answered in time. We reached the building. The watchman stood up like he had learned to salute late. Savita ran ahead, fumbled keys, dropped them, and swore in a way that matched none of her saint speeches. Mira opened the door. Sometimes love looks like not crying in front of your child. Her face was pale. The curve near her cheekbone was yellow and purple where a hand had been. She held Kabir on her hip like he was her heartbeat outside her body. When she saw me, she did not lunge. She did not call Ma like the films. She took one step back into the house and said, "Come in," like she was granting me a life. Kabir looked at me with eyes that didn't know my name yet and smiled just because my face was a face. I smelled unwashed hair and milk and fear and something else, hope. The room was clean in that tense way clean rooms are when someone's mother-in-law runs a finger along every shelf. There was a baby cot by the window draped with a net, and a wall calendar with a picture of some god taped where nails were not allowed. Anika spoke gently. Mira, do you want to leave this house right now? You can. You have a right. We will help you pack. We will take you somewhere safe. You do not have to decide everything today. But you can decide this. Mira looked at me. I did not move. Sometimes a mother's biggest job is to stop moving so your child can move. She nodded, once. Yes, she said. Her voice was small and also large. I do. Rohan's face went white and then red. She is confused, he said. She will regret this. Auntie, tell her. She will regret this. I looked at my child and then at the man who thought he could speak for her and said, no. You will. The next hours were long and also a blink. Anika called child welfare. They sent a quiet woman who had seen too many small scars. She checked Kabir's arms and legs. She smiled at him and he smiled back with his whole head. We packed quickly, clothes, a feeding bottle, his vaccination card, a little elephant toy with one eye missing. Anika wrote a seizure memo for the forged letter. She took photographs of the bruise on Myra's cheek. She took Savita's curses like a person might take rain, annoyed but unsurprised. At the station, they recorded Myra's statement. They asked careful questions that sounded like knives wrapped in cotton. Did he hit you? Did he force you to cut contact with your mother? Did he take your documents? Did he take your money? Did he threaten that you would never see your child if you disobeyed him? She said yes in a voice that grew a spine as she spoke. I sat with Kabir on my lap and counted his breaths again. He fell asleep with his fingers curled around my sari like he was anchoring a boat. By evening, a protection order was in place. Rohan could not come near us. He shouted about reputation until the door closed on his mouth. Savita cried the kind of cry that is more anger than sorrow. Anika arranged for us to go home with a constable posted for 2 days. It is a piece of paper, she said, but it is also a line. He crosses it, he pays. I thought that would be the end. Safety is a big enough victory. But the women listening to me now, the ones who like things to feel finished, will want to know how it all turned in our bones, not just on paper. We did not hide. The following week, Savita's Ladies' Club put on a small function, a talk about good daughters-in-law and the dangers of modern ways. A stage. Chairs. Tea in paper cups. A banner with too many flowers. It was exactly the place where I had once sat and clapped for other people's courage. I went. I wore my plain sari and my wedding bangles. Mira came with me, head high. Kabir came too, fat on safety for 5 days, eyes curious. We sat in the third row. We listened to Savita talk about respect. We did not interrupt. When they opened the floor for questions, I stood. I am Lada, I said. I did not need the mic. I am a mother. I received a letter last week from my daughter that said she forgave me. I turned it over and shaded the back. That is where I found her real words. I told them in simple words what happened. I didn't decorate it. I didn't make it uglier or softer than it was. I said forgery, threat, silence, bruise, temple of fear, bus stop, sugar packet, baby's photograph, notary's office, police station, protection. I held up the letter. I showed them the back with gray ghosts of a message that saved us. I said, sometimes the truth hides where a woman pressed too hard with her pen. People shifted in their chairs. The tea tasted bitter in their mouths. A few ladies who had nodded along to Savita's speech looked down at their shoes. A few younger women in the back smiled at me with their eyes. Savita stood up, furious, and said I had no dignity. I smiled at her with all my new teeth. The thing about dignity, I said, is that it grows back when you stop giving it to people who wipe their shoes on it. 3 of the committee ladies, ones who like being seen in the right side of a photograph, mumbled something about pending legal issues, and asked Savita to step away from public duties until matters were resolved. It was not justice. It was petty. But petty things sometimes feel huge when you've been made small for years. Savita sat down. Her face looked like she had bitten a chili by mistake. Back home, we made light things in a heavy kitchen. Poha with peanuts. Tea with extra sugar. Mira took a long shower and cried under the water. I held Kabir and told him a story about a small elephant who got lost and who was not lost anymore. Rohan fought, of course. He filed things in court. He sent messages through people. He said sorry and then said we had misunderstood and then said sorry again the way men say it when they think it's a magic key. He tried to force the bank to release money from Myra's account. The manager refused. He tried to enter our lane once. The constable stopped him with a voice like a wall. He learned, slowly, what consequences mean. We are not perfect. Some nights Mira wakes up and listens for footsteps that are not there. Some days I count spoons I do not own, a silly habit from when Savita used to count hers and accuse me. But there is space now. We spin the fan faster and the house smells like soap and milk instead of fear. Kabir turns over by himself and looks pleased, as if he invented the floor. I framed the letter. Not the front. The back. The gray ghost lines tell me to look closer at everything. When people come, they ask, why is this smudged paper in a frame? I say, it saved 3 lives. The plot of land my husband left for Mira is still ours. The trust one set up with Mr. Bose years ago holds like a good stitch. I wrote into it what Mr. Bose told me to write in plain language, that no one can force me out while I breathe. That no transfer is valid without 2 witnesses and a video record. That any adult who lives under my roof must contribute or leave. It is not romance. It is a fence. Fences can be beautiful when they keep wolves out. Do I feel revenge? Yes. Not the kind with breaking plates. The kind with mended walls and loud laughter. The kind where Savita has to walk past the same watchman who watched her throw her words like stones and lower her eyes. The kind where Rohan has to stand in a room and listen to a woman in a uniform tell him no, and mean it. The kind where my daughter's friends come for tea and we talk about exams and jobs and not about whether they can wear sleeves. The kind where I pour tea without my hands shaking and say, sugar? And mean the kind that sweetens. I look at Kabir and think, this boy will grow up in a house where women don't whisper apologies for breathing. He will learn to cross his T's any way he likes. But he will not use them to cut anyone. On the night after the protection order came, Mira sat by the window and said, Ma, I am ashamed I stayed so long. I took her face in my hands the way I used to when she was little and had a fever. No, I said. You stayed alive. You stayed clever. You wrote on the back of a page. You taught me to look closer. You came out when you could carry your child. She put her head on my lap and fell asleep, tired the way birds get after storms. I watched the street and listened to the fan and thought of the little lemon juice message she once made appear over the flame. I love you, Ma, it had said in shaky letters. I kept that card for years until the paper turned brown and soft as cloth. The letter from last week is the same message in another language. If you ever receive a letter that tastes like ash, don't only read it. Turn it over. Shade the back. Look for where a hand pressed too hard. That's where the truth hides sometimes, in the dent left by courage. I am not young. But I am not done. My daughter is safe tonight. My grandson laughs in his sleep. The men who thought they could write our story now watch us hold the pen. And when the night comes, quiet and not frightening for once, I put the framed ghost words back on the shelf and whisper to the woman I was for 3 years, the one who waited at gates and watched windows, we found her. We found us. Then I sleep. Not like a hero. Like a mother who finally put the kettle on and heard it sing. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story.